This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. We begin with highlights from CBC Manitoba's mayoral debate, where we heard a few pieces of new information from the candidates and plenty of back and forth between the five.
We are in a hyper period of inflation right now. Families are struggling to get ahead of the curve. Property taxes right now, if you raise them, you are raising the tax burden significantly.
Glenn Murray pledging a tax freeze tonight. He was the only one on the stage who pledged not to raise taxes. His four other opponents, Scott Gillingham, Robert Falcon-Ouellette, Sean Loney and Kevin Klein, all answered yes when asked if they will raise property taxes.
Ghosts of debate past. I will reopen Portage and Main to foot traffic. Let's go down and see what our candidates have said. Scott Gillingham has said no. Robert Falcon-Ouellette, your paddle is hesitating. Yes or no? No. Sean Loney, yes. Kevin Klein, no. Glenn Murray, no. Kevin Klein,
when it comes to the age-old debate of opening Portage and Main to foot traffic, Sean Loney was the only one on the stage who said yes tonight. Glenn Murray said no to that question. 4 years ago, his answer was the exact opposite, calling it one of the most important intersections in the city. It was the focus of a plebiscite in the 2018 election.
You've raised the water rates. We've drained the stabilization accounts to balance budgets. We've passed a budget that had multi-million-dollar math errors.
After voting against my budgets for 4 years, now voting against every investment in the city of Winnipeg, voting against every investment in our roads, voting against every investment in community safety, now you say you're going to adopt my budget, the 2023 budget.
Scott Gillingham and Kevin Klein arguing over the city's finances. Klein, who was a councillor this past term, accused Gillingham of being a tax and spend politician. Gillingham, who previously served as finance chair, responded by saying that now is the time to invest in the city and accused Klein of voting against Gillingham's budget. Both men, however, did agree on their opposition for safe consumption sites. If you missed any of the debate tonight or want to watch it again, just head over to our CBC Manitoba YouTube page. That's where you'll find the full debate plus analysis from Janet Stewart and Bartley Kivas. That's also where you'll find feature interviews with all 11 mayoral candidates. Meantime, earlier today, mayoral candidate Rick Shawn says if elected, he will prioritize a housing-first strategy. He says he'll bring in more temporary and long-term accessible housing. Shawn says a city under his watch would invest in more 24-hour safe spaces, build tiny home villages on vacant city land, and speed up the permit process for building affordable housing. Shawn also says he'll ask the provincial and federal governments for more funding help. To some other news tonight, a part of Brandon is under a boil water advisory. It has been issued for the western portion of the Brandon water distribution system. That includes the area south of the Assiniboine River to Richmond Avenue, west of 18th Street. The city says the water treatment plant lost power earlier this afternoon, causing some residents to lose water. People in the affected area are asked to bring their water to a rolling boil for 1 minute before consuming it. Manitoba's entire tax system is under review. It is a bid to make Manitoba more competitive with other provinces. The CBC's Ian Fraze explains.
Premier Heather Stephenson says Manitobans are paying too much in taxes. She announced the creation of a new working group to explore all areas of taxation. It isn't known what may change, but business groups have long called the payroll tax an unnecessary tax on growth. While Manitoba doesn't have the same energy revenues of other provinces, Stephenson says her province can afford this.
The way we will improve education and social services, healthcare, is by growing our economy. If we are growing our economy, there's more tax dollars that are coming to the province to be able to afford the social services that Manitobans need.
Manitoba also announced ways to help businesses cover their costs for 6 months. The province will pay some employers 50 cents an hour to help subsidize minimum wage earners. That wage just increased to $13.50. This subsidy is only for small businesses with up to 20 employees. Ian Fraze, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A Winnipeg doctor has lost his license to practice medicine. Dr. Leonard Lockman was the owner of the St. Vital Family Medical and Walk-in Clinic. He pleaded guilty to professional misconduct for billing for services not performed and for prescribing the wrong medicine. In some cases, the medicine he gave made a patient's condition worse. The College of Physicians and Surgeons says the inappropriate care happened between 2011 and 2020. CBC News reached out to Lockman's lawyers for comment, but we have not received a response. Lockman has not practiced medicine since May. A 17-year-old boy is dead after the car he was in crashed into a hydro pole. That crash happened around 9 last night at St. Mary's Road and Gay Avenue. Traffic investigators were at the scene of that collision for more than 12 hours after the crash today. The 17-year-old died shortly after being taken to hospital. An 18-year-old who was driving that vehicle is in serious condition. In Ottawa today, members of Parliament paid tribute to longtime Manitoba New Democrat Bill Blakey. Members of all parties paid tribute to Blakey in the House of Commons today. He died in Winnipeg in September. Blakey served as an MP from 1979 to 2008, representing Elmwood, Transcona, and its former ridings. His son Daniel is now the MP for Elmwood, Transcona. He gave an emotional speech in his father's honour.
Earlier I mentioned his fondness for Scottish culture, so I'd like to finish this tribute with one of his favourite Scottish toasts. Here's to us, was like us, damn few, and the raw deed.
Bill Blakey was appointed to the Order of Canada in 2020 for his lifelong contributions to parliamentary service. He was 71 years old. Here's a look at downtown Winnipeg tonight. It was a much warmer day here in the southern part of the province. Anyway, we'll have a look at the weather forecast with meteorologist John Sauder when CBC Winnipeg News Late Night returns in 1 minute.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. 22 model clear-out is on now.
Well, if you were outside this afternoon, you were probably saying to yourself, that's more like it. 12 degrees in the Winnipeg area, more like 19 in Brandon this afternoon. That upper ridge to the west working its way to the east. So, yeah, the western edge of the province really, really warm. And then farther east, a little bit cooler, but Winnipeg reaching 12. Now, as we get into Thursday, it's a much more cloudy day. We'll see some sunny breaks to the west of the Red River Valley early, and maybe some of that in the Red River Valley in the afternoon. But generally, the province is under cloud cover. And then we've got this little system that kind of forms into southeastern Manitoba as we head into the middle of the night, Thursday into Friday, and may see a shower move on through in a brief period of some pretty gusty winds. But we're right back to sunshine as we head on into Friday. So tonight, -2. The more a little bit warmer, although a little bit more cloud cover, 13 degrees, south winds around 20 to 30. Then in the long range, we continue with the sunshine on Friday, 10 degrees Saturday, not as warm as originally thought on Sunday, windy and 11, and then the next system moves our way with some rain Monday, changing to snow, wet snow on Tuesday.
Thanks, John. We have a few days to prepare for that snow yet. That is your late news for this Wednesday. Thank you for being with us tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.